Hello everybody. I want to talk a little bit about how I like to prepare horses for the long lining process. Um, One of the things that's really important is that I teach my horse to understand the body language with which I communicate, which is based onto the horse's body language and nonverbal communication. And so, to make a long story short, I'm not trying to teach you here how to do this in like a 15-minute video. Just want to give you an idea so that when you watch, you can understand why certain things happen and how they might be perceived by the horse. And the goal ultimately is that when I put the long lines onto the horse with the surcingle, that I don't use the lines as a primary guidance tool. They're secondary. The horse will always be listening to my body language more than to anything else, and my eye contact and the way my energy is projected. And then the lines can become sort of the secondary, more finely tuned way to interact with them and help them to relax and stretch forward, downward, ultimately, and some lateral, bending and elasticizing will go on. But this is how I like to start. So I'm going to tell you how I look at the horse when I'm in the center of the round pen and I have the horse walk or trot or canter around me. My orientation and how the horse perceives me has to do with where I am in a relationship to their shoulder axis. And the shoulder axis is, imagine there's a line or a pole running through their shoulders, perpendicular in this way, so to speak, like as if I'm extending myself here as that line. That's what I call the shoulder axis. And when I step in front of the shoulder axis, it doesn't matter how far away I am from the horse, that makes the horse think that I'm going to either, cut them off or slow them down, or I might even be able to turn them from there, step in front of them and, have them go the other way. The other part of the shoulder axis to remember is that in my attempt to make the horse move fluidly away and around me, I want to stay behind that axis. And behind the axis and between the end of their body is a triangular shape that extends, I want to say, as far as I want it to be. I always stay in relationship to being behind the shoulder axis and closer to the horse's haunches, while my eyes are on their eyes and my shoulders are pointing at her shoulders. And that is my basic driving zone. That's sort of the space where the horse understands that I want them to go forward. Now, like I said, if I move a little bit closer to the shoulder axis, that will slow the horse down. If I go a little bit farther back, it will make the horse either speed up a little bit more or feel a little bit more free to move away from me. Or if I go all the way behind, they will eventually turn because they won't be able to see me in this case, out of her left eye. And I will be able to invite them to make a little turn, possibly just to change directions or to come away from the line that they're traveling on. So those are the sort of key elements. I don't think there's a whole lot of other things that I can just, talk about in just a few minutes here, but that's what I'm going to show you. I will try and see if I can get sort of my leadership position again affirmed by going through these motions, by saying to the horse, now you're walking to the left at a walk, or you're going to the right at a trot or at a canter. And as I always say, leadership has to do with the one who is in charge of speed and direction. And if I'm in charge of speed of direction, although I have no lines on her, because I will unclip this in a moment, and I will use 2 coils like this that will sort of mimic a little bit the motion of a horse's tail. And I can use, gentle, affirming, regular rhythmic movements with these coils and say, this is the walk that I want you to walk at, this is the rhythm. Or I can use them a little faster, or I can raise them and enhance sort of my body positioning in relationship to the shoulder axis, so that I can use them for a lot of different things. But for now, I'm just going to go and unclip and have Sable go off to the left, and I want her to go at a walk. So we'll see how that goes. She's a little, as we know, a little bit of a hot, cold horse. So she may not always, do everything that I'm asking her, but we're going to give it a try. And this is just a slow and hopefully easygoing exercise for her today. Come on, Sable. And one other thing that I might do is I might, do a little shuffling with my feet. I might actually throw one part of the line at her if I don't get her attention. But you can see how right now we're just at a walk. My goal is to go maybe 1 or 2 rounds like this in the walk with her. Regular, relaxed walk. And you may not be able to see her as well when we're going here through the shadows on the other side of the round pen, and that's fine. I just want her to just, stick to this pattern. Here's just a really nice walk right now. There you go. So, good girl. So, and there's other things going on, and so she might be a little bit distracted and looking over to the side. No big deal. I'm just continuing to say to her, please, a little bit more walk here, and trying to keep her focused on me while I use my lines in her direction, just kind of mimicking her rhythm as she gets, a little bit more animated here. And that's okay. I want her to go and be comfortable with me, but I also need her to stay focused on me. So I'm going to go behind her now, increase my energy a little bit, and change directions. So I'm going to just do a little bit of a turn here. Good girl. So, and now my goal is 1 or 2 rounds of walk in this direction without running, without stopping. A little bit of a distraction is totally fine. I get that. But here's a little bit of the energy that she's starting to pick up from watching things in the distance. Come. I'm going to invite her back into the walk mode. And there's a little bit of licking and chewing. Licking and chewing is always a sign of agreement and saying, I'm eating over here. I don't mean any harm. I don't mean anything bad. It's a little bit of a snort coming out, which is nice. The neck is moving, nicely in a rhythm. I don't really care that she stays completely on the outside of the rail right now. More important to me that I keep her moving and past the distractions. And then I'm going to change directions with her one more time. So you see how I go behind. And then I'm going to stay here for a moment. So now we're in the different direction again. So far I'm really pleased because I could do these maneuvers, and I hopefully will more and more often when she has a surcingle on and with long lines on her. And so that's actually lovely today, that I get her to not run off and not to get a little bit amped by whatever else might be going on. And so once we're a little bit farther along here, I'm going to invite her to go into the trot. And that may be something that she's willing to do, or she may go and need to get a little bit of excess energy out of her. Come. So I'm going to get her past the distraction, and then I'm going to say, and trot. Come and trot, Sable. Come. Good, out. So, and again, right now, my biggest goal is I am finding myself in a pretty large round pen. This is a 70-foot round pen, so I don't have the luxury just to put pressure on her in a smaller space. I'm going to try this again, and she has a little bit more the freedom to, sort of evade me if she wants to. We'll try this again. My goal is 1 or 2 rounds of reasonable trot. And trot. Good girl. So it's good. Oh, and trot. Come. Trot. So it's good. I'm going to try and support her a little bit with my voice. Yeah, there's a little bit of this, what I was saying, excess energy that needs to come out. And we may have to just go and do that and let her have a little bit of canter, but canter to the left. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to change my plan in terms of the speed that I'm allowing her. but not the direction. She gets to choose one or the other. And right now, thinking, okay, a little bit of canter. So that's good. Yep, it's okay. So come. So that's good. So that's good. So that's good. Yeah. Let her have a moment of that. Okay. 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 So that's good. I'll allow that for one more round. And I'm going to bring her back. So I'm going to bring her back. Oh. Yeah. Good. Okay, so I cut her off. You could see that. Oh, good girl. So now she's allowed to trot or walk. I might have her just see if you can get simmered down a little bit here. My goal is still have her go to the left. Again, come, good girl. And this is very typical for what I find in the horse types that I call hot cold. They go from 0 to 100, sometimes in a very quick succession. And we're still going to the left. So, left and trot. That is my main goal. Come. Good. So that's actually pretty good right now. And then I'm going to bring her to a walk here in a moment. There's the walk. Walk. Come. Walk to the left. So these are all communications that are very important. So now she's starting to lower her head a little bit more. I get a little bit of licking and chewing. I have her inside ear on me for a little bit longer times now. And those are all signs of having her attention and also having her agreement. So now I'm going to go behind and change directions again. So now she's allowed to go to the other side. I'm going to cut her off here on this side a little bit. So good. Walking to the right now is my quest, and not coming into my space too much. So good girl. So very good. Good girl. So a little bit of this, and then we're gonna in a moment going back to the trot part. And as you can see, I always have an idea and a plan of what it is that I want from her. And then we're going to have this conversation. And if she says, I can't do it right now, I have too much pent up energy, then I'm going to say, okay, you can canter for a little bit. But at my, you will stop cantering when I say so, and you're going to canter into the direction that I say. So I instill my wishes and reinforce them, but in a gentle, collaborative manner. So now we're going to go back into a little bit of trot. Again, there's distraction in the distance, but we don't pay too much attention. Come and trot. Good girl. Good. So it's good. So I don't mind, like I said, if she makes a small or a big circle, but I want her to go to the right, and I want her to trot. So it's good. That's pretty good. Happy with that. I'm going to have her canter here for a moment. Canter. So it's good. Just a little bit. Maybe a couple rounds. Come. So it's good. And before she gets too amped up, I'm going to do one more round here. And I'm going to step in front of her. So that's good. And we're going to trot. So it's good. So now we're going to trot. So it's good. Just a little bit. A couple of rounds. Trotting into the right, not to the left. So good. Good girl. So there you go. That's a nice. There's a question again. Doesn't matter. One more round. Good girl. So, good girl. And I'm gonna have a walk again, walk and to the right. Walking and to the right. There's licking and chewing. You may not be able to see it. There's a nice snort. So, I'm gonna change directions with her again. I walk behind her. So that she doesn't have to think about what it is that she might want to do herself. Come, come, so it's good. So, one more little bit of walk here. And then I'm going to invite her to come to me. And I'm going to see if she wants to, hang out with me a little bit after we've had this little conversation. And that was actually quite nice. So that is sort of that little ritual that you can have with your horses. And I'm going to see if she wants to come a little bit more. Come with me a little bit more. I'm going to invite her just follow me for a few steps. And she is a very dominant alpha mare, so I think I might only get that and not much more. I'm going to ask her again. Come, you want to come with me? Good. So, there you go. And there we are. And this is a beautiful moment, a beautiful ritual that, you can do and try with your own horses. It's always better to have somebody who can teach you first and guide you. I'm going to clip onto her here and have her come around. And she's actually now okay to look at whatever she's looking at before. There are people up there in the distance. But right now, I feel like we've really come quite a nice little way. We worked our way through all three gaits, walk, trot, canter. She's accepted my direction, my body language, combined with voice command and energy projection to say, okay, the invitations were fairly simple, but they were not easy for her, to just compute, to accept, for me to say this gait, walk, trot, or canter in this direction to both sides without too much, opposition and without trying to run through me. That's a really big deal for her and for me too. So much for that today. Thank you so much for watching, and we will continue onward and upward. Good girl. Thank you, Sable. So.